How are you guys? Don't forget to leave a review and enjoy the story. Enjoy watching. The story begins. The events of this story begin in one of the companies that exists under the following slogans for employees. The result is above all. Work without results is worthless. If you don't want to work, leave. Before complaining, engage in self-improvement. Orders are often given that everything must be ready by morning. Management often threatens employees with dismissal and states that there's a line to take their place. In fact, the company operates a sweatshop system. Often employees have to sleep at their workplaces. Another morning, William wakes up in a cold sweat. He can't understand if he was dreaming. Once again, he overslept, so he fussily starts getting ready for work. Along the way, his coworkers greet him, and one of them, an older man with a thick beard, asks whether William was late at work again the day before. MC responds that it was necessary to draw up a report due to the instructions of Chairman Barnett. Already at his workplace, the bearded man hands William an additional order from the Averg family. William thanks for this. The bearded man is surprised by how much love the clients have for them, and he emphasizes that accepting additional orders is not bad, but if the main plan for the month is not fulfilled, then problems with the chairman will arise. When colleagues at the stand, the plan, and assignments look at the next figures, they understand that these are completely unattainable plans. William is aware of the situation and knows the real state of affairs well. Having immersed himself in the work process, MC takes on another order, and this is a chair that needs restoration. While examining it, William is outraged by the crude repairs to this piece that were previously carried out by an unknown person. MC knows that this chair is from the village of Miguel from Jess's grandmother, who reported that her knitting chair was broken. After inspecting the product, William decides to replace the handrails, round them off, and make the armrests a little more comfortable for the hands. A small explanation. William works for a trading company, Barnett, one of the largest in their kingdom of Doll. The company trades in a wide variety of goods, from spoons to weapons. The clients are varied, from villagers to aristocrats. William works in the company as a craftsman, thanks to his only skill, craftsmanship. In general, the crafting skill is a fairly common activity in the kingdom. There are so many masters like William that he has nowhere to go but here. He feels like he is just going with the flow of the river. The bearded man's voice is heard. Ready. Take it. And he hands over the repaired chair to the delivery department for further transportation. The goods are loaded into horse-drawn carts and delivered directly to customers. With the words, "Don't be late," the carts quickly leave for their addresses, and it is thanks to the speed of logistics that this trading company has been able to grow significantly. A voice is heard throughout the company. Work harder. Your products will enrich this trading house. William can tell from the voice that Chairman Barnett is starting his rounds of workstations. Coming closer, he shouts, "Hey, William." MC turns around, and the chairman, already nearby, says that this month, William has again failed to fulfill the plan. MC asks for forgiveness. The chairman asks if the documents he asked for yesterday are ready, demands a quicker response, while telling him to remember that replacing anyone is not a problem. A memory comes to William. William remembers that he is not alive. He used to work for a black company and died from overwork. Now he is alive, which means his reincarnation has taken place. The chairman's voice, "Damn it, William, bring the documents," brings MC back to reality. Yes, I'm running." William answers and hurries to prepare the documents. Already in the chairman's office, Barnett reviews the documentation and asks about the customer base and trend analysis. William replies that he has. At the same time, looking at Barnett's discontentedly distorted face, he realizes that he looks exactly like his boss from his past life. Barnett looks up and with a smile on his face announces that William is fired. MC, confused, asks again, "How is that possible?" Barnett adds that his son will take over the position and will take over the business. The chairman thanks William for his service. What does all this mean? Chairman Barnett can't calm down William. The chairman claims William is too slow to work and has failed to meet production targets. The company has no use for such worthless craftsmen, Barnett adds. MC tries to justify himself and explains that he offers clients what they really need. Barnett replies that the customer will not pay for something that does not exist in reality. Buyers do not require quality. They will buy something from stock. We must stick to the slogan. Cheaper, faster, and in larger quantities than anywhere else. The chairman concludes, that's it. William is stunned by the decision made. Barnett suggests that MC pack his things and, if everything is clear, leave. The chairman turns to his son and asks him to get started, but must be taken into account that William's regular customers were the most valuable and wealthy customers in the company. Barnett continues, William's crafts were snapped up for some reason, although they were practically no different from other goods. But he works too slowly, which is why he cannot get the most out of rich clients. The chairman calls on his son to take the vacant place and shake all the money out of the rich. Valuable clients attract other valuable clients, and his son should succeed, Barnett advises. Don't worry, Dad, the son replies. William walks out of the chairman's office and exhales sharply, how a. As he walks down the hallway, he remembers what personal items he needs to collect. Already in the office, William begins to get ready. First of all, from the top shelf of the cabinets, he takes out the dusty Shinjo, the sacred staff of Ristake. It was once given to him by the leader of an S-rank adventure group. It is a rare artifact that allows one to control the magic of all elements. And William kept it in case he ever needed it, but he decided magic wasn't his thing, so he never used it. William thinks about the word magic. But he was reborn. That is real magic. It is only possible in a world where magic exists. When William returns home, he hears familiar sounds, pie dash, pie dash. It is Rudy the eagle owl who greets him. A bird friend sits on William's hand. MC turns to the owl, realizing that he has probably been waiting for him for a long time, with a rhetorical question of what to do next. William reflects. Even after being reborn in another world, he again ended up in the office of some scoundrels and almost went down the same path. He thinks that it is enough to live such a life. From now on, he decides to live differently. Packing his things, taking the sacred staff of Ristek and Rudy with him, he sets out on his journey with the thought that he intends to enjoy life to the fullest and to fully utilize the second chance that fell to him. William decides to say goodbye to his regular customers as he leaves. While he's at it, he makes sure to take the chair and see Grandma Jess. Thus begins his first step toward a new life. As William planned, the first thing he does is visit Grandma Jess. He hands over the restored chair and wishes Grandma good health. At the same time, he says goodbye to all the neighboring villagers. The Avert family is next in line. He will not be able to fulfill additional orders, and an apology must be made for this. Arriving at the Avert family castle, William announces that he has written a letter of resignation and will no longer be able to carry out orders. The head of the family is simply discouraged by such information. He declares that without William, he will not be able to and will simply disappear. MC apologizes. He is very sorry and says that Laston will work in his place. The head of the family clarifies that Laston is the son of that very Barnett. He has never heard anything useful about him. Previously, Laston served in the knightly order in order to attract additional attention from the female sex. There he did a lot of things with women, for which he was expelled. Thus, he got into his father's trading company. Head of begins to tell that what William does is significantly different from the work of other masters. Despite similar forms, each detail is subjected to painstaking work. He primarily cares about the future owner of things. Showing a sword bought from William, which is an example of such confirmation. The head says that it was created taking into account the features of the future owner, thoughtful handle and balance. William can outdo any blacksmith in skill, Averd declares with admiration. MC replies that he made this amazing sword thanks to his acquaintance with an amazing master from whom he studied. The chapter continues that, in addition to liking the things William made, he did not try to gain the trust of his house, Averg, and he likes William's sincerity. He and his family are very sorry that further cooperation is impossible. William thanks for such generous words. The head of Averg tries to clarify what William plans to do next. MC starts to answer, actually, and moves away along the road. At this moment, the father is heard. It is the daughter of the family entering the room. She introduces herself as Lemet. The father asks his daughter again if she heard the conversation with William. The further path of the MC lies in the kingdom of Murkies. Arriving at the place, William realizes that he hasn't been in these parts for a long time. At the Murkies castle, he is met by Gori, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Kingdom of Murkies. He is very upset that William is visiting them after a long absence and brings the unpleasant news of leaving the trade guild. Even more upsetting is the news that Laston will be his successor. William understands the minister's reaction. He wonders how many more times he will have to see a similar picture. But MC says that he came not only to convey news, but also with a request. The minister finds out what the request is. William explains that he has a mountain hut not far from the capital, in the village of Bergen, and he wants to open a workshop there. The minister is intrigued. A workshop in their country? William says he wants to take his time setting up the workshop at first. The minister immediately gives his confident permission for this. After all, he is very pleased that such a talented master as William will live in their country. The minister promises to send a letter of approval to the village of Bergen. He wishes to work hard and not hold back. William expresses his deepest gratitude in response. Here, finally, William and Rudy are on site, in the village near the hut. And William declares that this place will be the starting point of their new life. The hut is a small house, knocked together from boards, which has become quite slanted from time, Pieces of the roof have fallen off. This structure clearly requires some work. Rudy accepts the new shelter without much enthusiasm. Standing in front of the house, William thinks that the hut is SOSO, but it is a decent place to start, and permission has already been received from the headman of the village of Bergen. MC claims that he is a craftsman and therefore is able to clean up the house on his own. But today, after a long journey, it is necessary to have a quick dinner and go to bed. William continues to sleep soundly at dawn, and in his sleep hears a knock on the door. Without getting out of bed, he asks who is there. The answer is silence. He approaches the door and opens it slightly. In front of him is a beautiful blonde with a greeting. "Good morning, William." MC, confused and surprised, asks again, "Mrs. Lemmet? How did the beautiful lady end up here?" William doesn't understand. Lemmet says that from today on she wants to make a pact of fidelity with him. Huh? What? William asks again. He can't believe these words. Thus began the second life of MC. In a completely unexpected way. William with inspiration and sparkle in her eyes and declares that she has found him. MC asks again what she is doing here. Lemmet begins to explain that after William left, the Averg house was not happy with either the Barnett Trading Company or the new manager, Laston. Lemmet reports that their family has terminated their contract with Barnett. From such information, MC's eyes bulge madly and his mouth opens. He could only utter a question. What? At the same time, the witnesses of the conversation between William and Lemmet are the mistress's maids standing at a distance behind her back and Rudy watching what is happening from the roof of the hut. The events began a couple of days ago when the Averg family arrived at the Barnett Company. They were met by Mr. Barnett himself with his son. He declared that from now on Laston Barnett will make every effort to accommodate all requests. Laston cast a sly glance at the Averg family. He addressed Mrs. Lemmet with particular delicacy, declaring that he was glad to meet them for the first time. At the same time, he took the lady's right hand, brought it closer to himself, and kissed it, saying that he was Laston Barnett and nice to meet him. Lemmet was so embarrassed and confused by this that she could only giggle in response. The Averg family was very unhappy with the way the meeting was going. It was expressed in his gaze and facial expressions. Lemmet was also very upset. Barnett announced that the order was ready and that he, Laston, personally carried it out. At this point, workers brought in boxes with packed orders. Laston presented an order which included cuirasses for the personal guard of the House of Averg. The Averg family took the cuirass in his hands and examined the product. He asked with a serious, focused look whether Chairman Barnett had checked the final finishing. Barnett responded energetically and in good spirits. Yes, of course. William's development allowed the cuirass to be adjusted to the owner's body. The head of Averg continued to speak, while he seriously continued to examine the finished product. This cuirass is not adjustable and touches the arm. You can't swing a sword normally with it, he continued. Lemmet looked askance at her father and felt his indignation. His soldiers from House Averg are like family to him. He continued speaking in a raised voice. He cannot endanger them by arming them with crude and one-sided equipment. Head of Averg has already said infuriatedly that he sees neither a sincere attitude to work, nor the honesty that you expect from a weapons supplier. And the treatment of his daughter is completely unacceptable. Laston turned completely white, and his gaze became sad. The head of Averg announced that he was terminating the contract. William listens to this story with great surprise. The pupils of his eyes dilated incredibly. Lemmet continues that after all this, the question of the future of the House of Averg arose. She thought about it and decided to conclude an exclusive contract with William, and the location was suggested by Minister Gorey. Okay, William replies after listening to the story to the end. Lemmet says it is impossible to work under the current conditions that William has. MC's gaze drops from such an assessment of the lady. But Lemmet cheerfully states that she is here because she wants them to continue their collaboration, and she has come help. William wonders what she is going to do. Lemmet replies, permission has been received from his father. MC clarifies what this means. She speaks if William doesn't mind. They all want to live here. The maids accompanying the mistress answer in chorus. William's mouth drops open in surprise, and his eyes widen incredibly. And yet, she always dreamed of such a life, says Lemmet, and begins to whirl around in the dance with incredible pleasure. One of the maids said that the mistress always dreamed of the life of an adventurer, and that's why it happened. A girl with long hair and formal clothes approaches the MC. She says, Mr. William, we haven't seen each other for a long time. She is Agnes, the senior maid in the Averg house. William is surprised by her presence, and she adds that she was ordered to accompany the young lady. Such is the order of the head of the family. Agnes begins to tell that the young lady was very worried about Mr. William when he left the company, and now she is overjoyed that she was able to meet him again. During this conversation, the maids were busy unloading the luggage that had arrived with them on carts. Agnes goes on to explain that the Averg family will of course support Mr. William, but they would also like to help. William expresses his gratitude, but he prefers to diligently do his job and just live a second life in peace. And he says these words with a touching look, closing his eyes. What do you mean? Agnes tries to clarify warily. No, nothing, William answers, turns around and leaves, thinking what a beautiful morning it is today. William thinks this is how things are going, and he was going to live a quiet life. There are shouts nearby. Come on, Paul. The major's starting to set up the tent camp. They work with inspiration and passion. William looks at them, and a sparkle lights up in his dull gaze. A smile appears on his face. Recalling previous years of work, MC does not remember periods of life when he was engaged in collective work. He sees Limit and the maids rejoicing over another tent being set up, and thinks he should try to live this life somehow differently. William was just lost in his dreams when Limit couldn't hold back and fell to the ground with another tent and a piercing scream. The maids who were helping her only managed to scream in surprise. Getting up, she thinks that setting up a tent is also not an easy task. William approaches them and says that 5 people will be cramped in this tent, and it is dangerous to spend the night outside. He continues. Limit tries to object to him. William comes closer to her and, looking into her face, says that since Mr. Averg has given his consent, and Mrs. Limit is so inclined then, MC starts to ask emotionally what they all think about moving in together in his cabin. He's just about to renovate it and is ready to add extra rooms. For Limit, this was an unexpected but pleasant offer. Her eyes widened incredibly. She asks the question. She has no desire to burden William. Won't they get in the way? MC cheerfully winks his left eye and cheerfully replies, "It's always more fun in a big company. They will be just like a real team of adventurers." William announces that the expansion will require a considerable amount of materials and asks for help. Everyone agrees. The area around was wooded. After a short time, they were able to prepare a fairly large amount of construction timber. Looking at the preparation, William declares that this is quite enough. Once everything was ready to go, William set to work with great enthusiasm. He inspects the condition of the hut and understands that when everything falls apart, it is not time to expand, but to start with repairs. Initially, the MC removes all destroyed and unusable elements of the building. Then the structure is reinforced. Limit and the maids watch William at work with admiration. She gazes at the window of the hut and becomes lost in her memories. Limit recalls she was preparing for an important family event with the help of her maid Agnes. Limit was not in the mood. Agnes then said that the mistress should not sulk. She was a beauty, and with such a look, all her charm would be lost. Limit tried to object. Agnes continued, "This evening is an important reception, including because a groom is being selected for her." Limit sat humbly in front of the mirror, and Agnes continued to speak and asked her not to think of running away again, as she had done last time. The lady was very offended by such words. Limit understood that she was the only daughter in the Averg family. At various events, nobles often try to get to know her and start a relationship in order to obtain the power of the Averg family through her father. No one really cares about her personally. Continuing to remember his past, Limit hears a voice behind him. "I brought an evening dress for you. It's ready." Turning around, she is surprised to see William in front of her. Limit immediately tries on the dress. She is delighted with her reflection in the mirror. Agnes and William adjust and hem the dress. William asks how Lady Limit feels in it. William begins to explain that the lady has a characteristic habit of actively gesturing while talking, so he made sure that the embroidery on the cuffs looked spectacular when she moved. Looking at the cuffs of the dress together, William continues to explain that the image on the cuff is a fairy flower, and it is a symbol of the flight of fantasy, purity, freedom, and means Tenba Koku. William adds that he thought it was perfect for her, and Limit looks at him with a sparkle in her eyes. A voice is heard, "That's it." Limit returns from pleasant memories. In front of her, there is a new window and a completely renovated hut, unrecognizable. William cheerfully declares, addressing Limit, that their mansion is of course still far away, but it is quite suitable for an overnight stay. The lady replies, she disagrees. This is a great haven for adventurers. It's breathtaking. The hut has been completely transformed, sparkling with fresh paint and emitting the smell of new building materials. It is no longer an old, decrepit building. William, Limit, and the maids enter the renovated hut. MC inspects the results of the renovation inside the room and says that it would be nice to furnish everything with furniture and other things so that it would be a real base. Limit is very pleased with the situation and expresses her gratitude to William, with a smile on her face and her eyes narrowed in pleasure. MC says with great pleasure that it's time to have dinner. Everyone has been working so hard that they haven't even had lunch. He says there's a river nearby, and in his opinion you can catch fish in it. Limit grabbed her face with her hands and thought she had never been fishing before, but she really wanted to try it, so she actively supported this proposal. Then William suggests taking some tree branch cuttings and making your own fishing rods. And so they all head off to the riverbank to go fishing. Agnes is the first to show her skills. She deftly handles the fishing rod and the fish net. The other maids watch her with great enthusiasm. William also notices that Agnes is excellent at fishing. Limit started biting, and out of surprise she grabbed the rod with both hands and screamed. William got the bite. MC calmly replies, "Mrs. Limit, gently pull towards you." Due to inexperience, the fish jumps off the hook. William approaches the upset Limit and reassures her, "Madam, next time everything will definitely work out." She turns to William with a request, to which he asks for clarification on the topic. Limit stands in front of William and shyly looks down, asking him to stop addressing her formally. MC is perplexed, and the lady continues, "She is younger than William, and it will be better for her if he starts addressing her as an equal." MC tries to object. Limit can't take it anymore and hysterically shouts that from now on any form of address as you is prohibited. William, scratching the back of his head with a grin, replies that it is clear. The lady demands to be called by her simple name. MC, embarrassed, after hesitating, says, "Limit." "Well done." His mistress praises him. The sound of fish splashing can be heard in the river. "Rudy is telling me that the fish are biting, so we need to do something." William and Limit take the rod together, and MC gives advice on how to carefully pull out the bite. Meanwhile, in a completely different place, Eri Tachibana, the leader of the adventure group Moonlight, is conducting another hunt. She is a fragile yet agile adventurer girl with long dark hair and a bandage covering her right eye. Her weapon is the ice whip. She knocks out the royal Hurricross, as evidenced by the adventurers accompanying her. She returns home, and a large group of adventurers greet her and are very happy not only about her return, but also about the decent amount of resources she brought back from the hunt. Laston is also among those greeting. He greets Mrs. Tachibana and tries to find out how much she liked the whip he made. The lady passes by without turning her gaze in his direction, and he continues to find out if his product is not gorgeous, since he used the skin of the Amawis sea crocodile. He also asks about combat boots next time. Laston shows off his boots and boasts that they are made of red deer skin. He regrets that he got such boots dirty, but this place is just awful. Laston can't calm down and continues to find out whether the lady liked his products, because it was not for nothing that he dragged himself to such a wilderness. Finally, he hears Eri's sharp response, "This whip is no good." Laston is simply taken aback by this. Eri gives the whip to Laston and says that the attack power has not increased, it is completely lacking in power. And she adds something else, looking thoughtful and serious. This is by no means William's level. Not at all. She doesn't feel the same power as before. Laston, with a downcast look, ponders what could be so different about these whips. At this moment, one of the adventurers comes up and announces that a letter has arrived for Eri. From whom? Eri specifies. From the House of Averg. The messenger clarifies. Averg family castle. There is a meeting scheduled for this evening. At the same time, William and Limit have fun and usefully spend time fishing. In the office of the Barnett Company, a powerful slam of a fist on the table is heard. Mr. Barnett, who is sitting at his desk, screams in incredible anger. What is going on? Why the hell are clients breaking their contracts with our guild one after another? He continues. What the hell are you doing idle? He yells at the employees standing before him humbly with their heads down. Laston, entering, addresses him. He continues. The leader of the Moonlight Group recently received a letter from the Averg House. She is a former client of William. Is the Averg House plotting against them? What? Mr. Barnett is even more furious. Is Fried Averg up to something behind our backs? Barnett yells that he won't let him do whatever he wants, and demands that all this information be thoroughly investigated immediately. That's how Eri thinks. She is already heading through the corridors of the Averg Palace to a business meeting. Entering the conference room, she sees that there are 3 people present besides her, and Mr. Fried announces that they are now all assembled. Mr. Averg begins the meeting by saying that he has gathered here all of William's most influential clients from different fields. At the same time, everyone present listens attentively. To report the results of his own investigation, Fried continues. He says that leaving William in the shadows any longer would be an unforgivable waste of talent. At first glance, his works seem simple and uncomplicated, but they are thought out to the smallest detail, created with care for the client, comfortable and beautiful. They all simply need him, Mr. Fried continues, and so he asks for support by providing the necessary assistance. Mr. Saxon, he addresses a gray-haired elderly man with a thick beard and mustache, who is the head of the Foggy Green Island. Fried tries to find out his attitude to the situation, to which Mr. Saxon replies that he highly values William's work and is not against helping him, because he is a good guy. Besides, William is a nice guy. He continues, all because his daughter likes him. She has a good eye for people. This guy is probably a good one. It looks like that, Mr. Saxon, says Fried with a mysterious smile on his face. And what about you, Mr. Tennis? Fried asks his next interlocutor. What would the legendary blacksmith say about the situation? According to rumors, he was the one who taught William blacksmithing. Yes, it was a sight to behold watching him work so enthusiastically, Tennis answers. He is a venerable gray-haired man, wise with life experience. He has an unshaven, not particularly well-groomed face and rather long eyebrows. The hair on his head is gathered in a bun at the back of his head. Tennis continues to say that William has a talent for blacksmithing. He likes to create something. He also wants to help him develop further. And what does Eri Tachibana think? He asks the girl Tennis sitting next to him. Eri replies that her main weapon was created by William, and she has never seen anything better in her life. Where he went is a big question for her. Mr. Fried, with a calm, business-like air, suggests moving on to the main topic of discussion. He begins to explain that some time ago William came to say goodbye before leaving. Then Mr. Averg asked what William was planning to do next, and he replied that he had a request for the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Gori from the Kingdom of Murkies. Do you think Minister Gori might know his current location? Asks Mr. Saxon. Yes, Mr. Averg answers. And so he asked his daughter Limit to watch over William and follow him in life. He himself could not leave home, and Limit went on a journey. She is already an adult. It is time for her to travel. Fried continues with emotion. With these words, Eri's gaze changed. She was thinking about something. So he gave away his daughter, Tennis thinks. Saxon starts looking sideways at Fried with a serious, dissatisfied face. So they got around her, Eri concludes. Saxon stutters and says that he remembered urgent matters. He asks for forgiveness and leaves the meeting. Tennis says that he completely forgot about the need to pass on the assignment to his granddaughter. Old age is no joy. He ends the conversation and leaves. Eri says that unfortunately she also cannot stay any longer, and everyone leaves the palace together. Fried is left alone at the table, propping his face up with his hand and closing his eyes, thinking that everyone is thinking the same thing. And at this time, in William's hut, Limit enjoys a cup of aromatic tea. She asks William what happened. He is busy preparing dinner, picks up a jar of spices, looks into it, and says that they need to buy spices because there are more of them and he wants more variety in food. William says they'll go shopping today and take a short ride to the port town of Bart. Will they ride in her carriage? Limit asks. Then we'll ask someone to look after her in the village of Bergen, she continues. At that moment, a squeak is heard, and it's Rudy turning to them. And before their eyes, Rudy begins to increase in size, while squealing happily. William explains that Rudy can become huge, so much so that he can lift people on himself. Limit, saying lovely bird, pats Rudy on the head with great pleasure. The whole company settled comfortably on Rudy's back and took off. After a short period of time, William shouts, I can already see, look, the coast and the port town of Barth were visible on the horizon. After a successful landing, the whole friendly company is in a great mood and enters the city, which mainly consists of small one-story buildings and an adjacent port, actually within the city. Fishing boats are parked all along the shore and also placed on land along the shore. The first thing they all do is head to the city market and notice that it has become more lively. William hears a voice behind him. Hello, William. How old are you? MC turns around. In front of him is a man of 50, a brunette with a thick beard and mustache. He happily introduces himself as Mayor Markham. Is this your fiancée? He continues, looking at his fellow traveler William. Wow, William, Markham stops. MC asks not to joke, because he is with the daughter of the Averg family. Averg shouts out to Markham in surprise and asks for forgiveness for being rude. And how did William manage to get involved with her? Quietly whispering into Markham's ear, he asks again. MC says it's a whole story. William says in surprise that the market is very lively. Perhaps something has changed in the city since his last visit? Markham replies that deposits of magic have been discovered near the city. He continues, there are many more people, more shops, business is growing. Maybe William should think about opening his own shop? Asks Markham. The unexpected question makes MC pause and think. Limit, who is accompanying him, immediately lights up with the idea. William, that's a great idea. Let's start our own business. She shouts. William says calmly, but no. As he says goodbye, Markham tells William to think about the proposal. He is confident of its success because he has the ability to do so. William wonders what he can come up with that will sell well. In general, he wonders what the locals want to buy. And he even closes his eyes, straining his brain in search of an idea. And then a thought suddenly occurs to him, because today he came to buy groceries. And they all start wandering around the city market together. and now they're happily following with bags full of various products. Limit says that they have bought quite a lot of vegetables. William notes that in time, they will be able to plow the land near the house and start a vegetable garden. Limit happily declares, "Thank you," MC replies, but without experience, even using a hoe is dangerous, and offers to rely on his abilities. "Welcome, young people," says an elderly woman with a covered head, the fish counter vendor. Looking at the counter, William can't help but notice how delicious the fish is. "And what kind of broth does it make?" the fish seller adds. Hearing the word broth, William thinks, broth is good of course. But if we could get some soy sauce, we could make sashimi, MC muses. But in this world, it's not customary to eat raw fish, he continues to reason. Another interesting thing is soy sauce. Miso. If you grow soybeans in a field, then maybe you can make miso, he continues to think. Lost in his memories, William realizes that he misses his grandmother's cooking as a child. "William, what happened?" interrupts Agnes's reverie with a question. MC returns to reality and replies, "Nothing special." He believes that ever since he regained his memories of his past life, he's been terribly drawn to Japanese cuisine. Their company leaves the market, and they see a fishing schooner unloading its catch. They approach the unloading site and are met by one of the fishermen. William looks through the boxes with the catch, and something catches his eye. He screams in surprise. "Is that a kraken?" he asks. "Yes, there are small krakens in the local waters," the fisherman replies. "In winter they go to the northern seas and grow to large sizes," he continues. "Do they eat this?" Lemmet asks. "No. Who would eat such horror? They just constantly get caught in the net," the fisherman replies. He explains that the krakens eat the fish right in the nets, and there is nothing left to do but grind it up and use it as fish food. It's a shame, William thinks. After thinking about it, he asks if he can take it. The fisherman replies, "If you need it, take it, but what are you going to do with it?" William takes the kraken with him with a grin. At this moment, a large catamaran moors to the shore with a grinding noise. There are shouts on the shore. Mr. Saxon is back. Hooray! Pleased with his return, Saxon confidently steps off the deck of his ship. With the words, upon returning to him, the girl throws herself on his neck. Saxon asks her if Sonal behaved well in his absence. The tall young man who greets Saxon says, "Welcome back, father." Saxon greets him back, "Ganel, thank you for looking after the house." Together, Sonal and Ganel ask if they will really see William. William and Limit are in their yard near the hut. William is making something, using a couple of gears. He thinks that to make it turn, he will have to build a windmill. Limit wonders what William is doing. She watches from behind him and asks, "He just returned from the city of Haybart and is already making something. And what is he doing anyway?" Phew. Just as MC is about to answer, quick footsteps are heard. William and Limit listen in confusion as to who it could be. At this moment, a short brunette girl runs in and happily rushes to hug MC. She shouts out, "William." Sonal. He recognizes the girl and hugs her back. William is greeted by a tall, dark-haired young man. "Ganel, what are you doing here?" With these words, MC rushes towards him. Limit's expression changes. She is very unhappy and does not hide it. "What happened, Limit?" William asks. "Rudy, long time no see." Sonal addresses the eagle owl as it flies up. William gathers all the guests in the house and asks for a minute of attention. He introduces that this is Sonal from the Jade Island and her older brother Ganel. The guests greet everyone present in return. Sonal starts telling that when her father returned from his trip, he asked her to help William. That's why she is here. Ganel says that he also wants to be useful to Mr. William. "And what does that mean?" William asks in response. Limit, who is present, says Kirishima is the leader of the Saxons. William asks how she knows about the Saxons. In fact, Limit says her father recently contacted all of William's former clients, including Saxon. They all met at the Averg family estate and were more likely discussing William. As she understood, they all wanted to help him. Help? William thinks. Sonal says that as soon as his father heard that William was going to work, he told him and his brother to come and help. And also, Ganel adds, his father ordered that an order be placed. William thought about it. Limit adds that his father probably told other clients about his situation, so there might be more guests. William begins to understand. MC reflects on how nice it is to know that even after leaving the Barnett Guild, people still need him. However, he understands. Now he doesn't think that his second life will be spent in silence and creating all sorts of things. He looks at the whole company gathered in his hut and assumes that in the future it will be quite noisy. Ganel appears and asks what William just made. MC replies that he showed up just in time and asks if he would like to help a little. "Yes, of course," agrees Ganel. Limit and Sonal are standing by the window. Ganel asks with interest what is going on. William replies that it's a secret for now and laughs. Sonal says his brother has no skills, but loves to tinker. He always learned from William. Gannel and William approach the gear mechanism. Gannel examines the gear surface and is surprised. This is the same processing that William recently taught him. Exactly. He remembers, confirms MC. They take logs and start making things. After some time, William is surprised. Wow, it's almost ready. Agnes approaches them and says that she is going into the forest for food. William worries whether she will be okay. She asks not to worry. Gannel asks Sonal to also go and help with Agnes. Sonal agrees. They are asked not to go too deep into the forest. Limit wants to ask William a question, but doesn't dare. William personally, she wants Limit to go with them too. William tries to clarify, won't it be dangerous? Agnes assures that she will take care of Limit's safety, and Sonal will be with them. William agrees, and the three of them go into the forest to hunt. Already in the forest, Agnes notices the prey, pulls the bowstring bow, takes aim, and shoots. Sonal says she thinks Agnes is an excellent bowman. Agnes leaves to retrieve the loot. Limit looks into the depths of the forest and sees glowing lights in the darkness, similar to the eyes of an animal. A seasoned wild boar with huge tusks emerges from the darkness. She screams at the top of her lungs, Agnes. The boar sees the stranger and is ready to attack. He lunges towards Limit. At this moment, the lady screams at Agnes, but Sonal manages to run up. She jumps out to intercept and kicks the boar in midair. It bounces back. Sonal asks Limit if she is okay. She, in a frightened state, with a slurred voice, answers, yes, thank you. And then Agnes runs up to them. And at this time, near the hut, at the table, William and Gannel are talking. William is interested. He is surprised that Zaxxon sent two assistants at once. Even Sonal, although it seems that one Gannel is enough. Gannel explains that Sonal really wanted to meet William herself. William is surprised by this fact. Gannel continues, there are special minerals on the Jade Island, which is why many people come there. But William, when he arrived on the island, was not at all interested in the value of these minerals. He made various products from the local luminous shells. He gave tools and knowledge to make life better. Gannel says that William knows how to win people over, and Sonal saw it right away and was the first to make contact. Gannel clarifies that she was open and sincere from the start. She has a keen eye for people, Gannel continues. Plus, Sonal has great intuition, and William has proven to be a dedicated person. He also seems to genuinely enjoy his craft. Even his father, because of Sonal, began to trust William. After all, his daughter herself opened up to him. William says to this, understandably. Gannel starts shouting and tries to explain that he wants to help and will definitely cope. It was with this thought that he rushed to help William, Gannel concludes. William hears voices and says it seems they have returned. They turn around to see the girls returning with good trophies. Limit is beaming with a smile on his lips. Sonal is moving briskly and carrying a huge carcass of a wild boar, and with them is an unperturbed Agnes. Sometime later, at the city market bar. Welcome, come on in. Dry Kraken, come on in. Gannel and Agnes are trading, surrounded by a crowd of surprised and curious customers. Meanwhile, at the estate, Limit watches the windmill spin and marvels at how quickly the structure was built. William, together with Gannel, was able to build a dryer for the production of dried kraken. After finishing the work, William thanks Gannel because it would have been difficult for him to do it alone. He, in turn, notes that in the process he learned a lot about processing gears and is also grateful. MC believes that to improve the design, it is worth using bearings in the rotation areas. What are these bearings? Asks Gannel. These are the parts with balls for better rotation, William answers. At the market, one of the buyers, an older man, asks why the hell this is a dried kraken, and Sonal says it deliciously and immediately starts biting off the kraken's carcass. Limit presents the customer with a dried kraken paw on a plate and offers him a helping. The man takes the paw, bites it off, and savors it, saying how unusual it is that the more you chew, the richer the taste. This tasting process attracts a huge number of buyers who, with exclamations of "and give me one too," want to taste the new product. Oh, William, this is a full house, a voice comes from behind him. William turns around and sees Markham in front of him. He continues, who would have thought that dried kraken could be made into such a delicious treat? William recalls events of past years and states that he saw something similar in one port city. MC tells the mayor that when preparing the kraken, it is spun to dry it quickly, and if you fry it a little more, it turns out very tasty. I wish I could pour some soy sauce on it, William mutters, lost in thought. Soy sauce? The mayor asks again. It doesn't matter, William replies. Trading was brisk that day. Towards evening, a cool breeze blew in from the sea. William strolls along the shore with Rudy on his shoulder and thinks rather that there is always such a pleasant breeze here. He looks into the distance of the vast expanse of water, enjoying the beautiful view. Seeing a small forest in the distance on the horizon, He thinks that behind those forests is probably the capital of the kingdom. The path directly through the forest will be the shortest. As a result, the dried kraken was completely sold out at the current fair. The whole team breathed a sigh of relief after such a busy day. Limit turns to William. Should such a business bring in a good income? William replies that he is not actually going to sell the kraken itself. He would like to sell the dryer itself. Limit is taken aback by this answer. William explains in front of the entire team that if you dry the kraken and sell it, you can make good money, but it's only money. He wants people in the city to start making their own fish in this dryer and selling it. MC continues that if others find out about this and a flood of visitors begins, then this business will become a local landmark and they will be able to sell dryers to other cities. If the plan is successful and they can sell the dryers, then the lives of the locals will improve at least a little. Limit. Agnes and Gannel look at William with admiration after these words. There's a scream. William. He turns around and sees Sonal, saying, yes, you can eat him raw, attack the kraken, and start chewing the raw meat. Everyone looks at what Sonal is doing with bewilderment. She tries to eat a raw kraken. Limit calls for her to stop, otherwise she'll get a stomachache. Gannel asks her not to put everything in her mouth and asks where she got it. Sonal replies, my fisherman uncle gave it to her. Sometime later, the sound of a hoe in the field. William looks at Limit, Agnes, Gannel, and Sonal working hard, and thanks everyone, they were able to dig up the field decently. Sonal plants seeds in the beds and wonders how quickly everything will grow and how soon it will be edible. William replies, Sonal, growing food takes a long time. It's not crafting. Everything is different here. It is necessary to slowly observe the process of plant growth and feed them with fertilizers. William declares loudly. She's hungry, complains Sonal. At this moment, one of the maids shouts, William, guests. MC is very pleased. This is Mayor Markham from Hubbard. They go into the hut and sit down at the table. Tea drinking begins. The mayor says that he only had to drop into the neighboring village on business for a short while, and in Hubbard everyone is already doing nothing but discussing the William product. These dryers, pinwheels are spinning everywhere. William says he has a few more additional orders coming in. There seems to be a lot of work to do. The mayor asks. He continues that it is difficult to get here, a real torture. You have to go around the whole forest. Yes, there is such a thing, confirms William. The mayor enjoys his tea and thinks. William gets going and says with shining eyes, what if we build a road between Hubbard and the capital directly? Road? The mayor's eyes widen in surprise. William continues, of course this will greatly facilitate the movement of potential clients. True, it is necessary to obtain permission from Minister Gori. Markham replies, this is a great idea. The city residents will be delighted. On such a positive note, they end the conversation and say goodbye. William calls Rudy over for a minute and asks for help once again. And now Rudy is ready for another journey. The whole team is assembled and comfortably settled in for the flight. They are heading for the capital. Having flown high enough, William surveys the surroundings. He sees many buildings in the distance to the left and says, there is Hubbard, which means the royal capital is located on the other side. Flying closer, William says that this is what he expected. A few days later, the whole company is in the capital of the kingdom. Gannel and Sonal are walking through the streets of the capital. Sonal is so amazed by what she sees and emotionally surprised by how lively it is here. Gannel asks Sonal not to lag behind. They approach a city lamppost, and Gannel wonders if these are street lamps powered by glowing stones. Behind them, William and Limit are moving. Sonal and Gannel are very cheerful and happy. Limit asks why they went to the capital. William replies that they need to submit a report and ask for Minister Gori for something. He sent a letter to the minister in advance and warned that it would be today. William continues. Besides, says MC, looking at the friends walking ahead, Sonal and Gannel arrived with them, who had never been to the capital, and the trip would be useful for them to broaden their horizons. In the minister's reception room, they are met by a pretty, intelligent-looking girl with glasses, long, beautifully styled hair. She is dressed in a fashionable business suit. It's been a while, William, she says happily. Juris, good to see you. Greetings, William. Juris is Minister Gori's assistant. She greets all the guests and announces that the minister will be free soon. After a short time, they enter the minister's office. He greets them sitting in his office chair with a monocle in his left eye and apologizes for the wait. William says there's no need to apologize. He's glad to see you again. And who is this? The minister asks, looking through his monocle at those standing in front of him. Limit bows in greeting and says that she is glad to meet them. She is Limit from the House of Averg, and the House of Averg is very glad to see the minister in good health. William then introduces himself. With him, Sonal and Gannel from the Emerald Isle. They introduce themselves accordingly. The children of the Saxon chieftain, the minister specifies. He reports that he learned from the letters that Mr. Fried is holding conversations with William clients, and William is becoming more lively. It looks like there will be even more of them arriving, says the minister and laughs. William laughed too. So what will we talk about today? The minister gets back to business. William modestly and excitedly holds out a rolled-up piece of paper, which he holds in his right hand. He says he wants to get permission to build a road. Road? The minister says meaningfully. William rolls out a map of the area on the table in front of the minister, while he says that he has goods that are popular with the residents of Hubbard and a number of customers visiting his workshop will soon increase. Therefore, he now wants to pave the way from Hubbard to his workshop. On the map, he shows the proposed road construction plan, comparing the existing and the proposed future route. And in the future, William continues. He plans to continue the journey to the capital. The minister is delighted with these plans. William explains to the minister that the only way to deliver magic ore from Hubbard to the Melky's kingdom is via sea. With the advent of a land trade route, the trade turnover will increase, won't it? This would also be beneficial for our country, says Minister Juris, who is present at the meeting. The minister replies, William, this plan has been discussed before, but clearing dense forest is a huge investment of time and money. The minister looks into MC's face and continues to speak. They would be grateful if William himself took on this job. Will the government be able to rely on him? The minister tries to find out. At the same time, Juris stands behind the minister and smiles mysteriously. William waits for the minister to finish his speech and confidently declares that yes, he can be relied upon. The minister states that he is very grateful for the business proposal and of course gives permission for the work to be carried out. He adds that he can trust William with peace of mind. So the area around his home will become something of a transit point, Kougei says with a smile. The minister abruptly changes the tone of the conversation, raises the index finger of his right hand, and emotionally asks William if he wants to found an entire village. MC is at a loss at such a proposal. Or here's a great idea. Having calmed down a bit, Kougei says you can build something like a hotel, and you can also use magic or for crafting and start trading various goods. Yes, stuttering from the unexpected proposal, says William. Juris leans towards the minister and says that, unfortunately, the time allotted for the meeting has ended. The minister nods in understanding. Kougei gets up from her seat, asks William for forgiveness. He is busy with some business, and before leaving asks not to take everything to heart. Okay, William agrees. The gang returns home to their hut, and William thinks, wow, he only wanted permission to build a road, but received an offer to build an entire village. Somehow their scale has grown, William understands, but it sounds interesting, he thinks and recalls the series of events that preceded the present time. Meanwhile, at Barnett's trading house, Mr. Barnett is angry again. Once again slams his fist on the table with all his might and says, what is this? Is the House of Averg really luring away William's clients and helping him? Laston enters Mr. Barnett's office and immediately declares, Father, it seems that orders from the Kingdom of Murkies are also being reduced. The Kingdom of Murkies, Barnett says indignantly. Laston begins, the Trade Guild has an agreement with the Military Bureau of the Kingdom of Murkies on priority import of goods. But recently, it seems that there are those who are dissatisfied with this, and it seems that there are attempts to revise the agreement. Mr. Barnett, after listening to the information, says, well, and also the former Minister of Foreign Affairs Murkies, he gave him so many bribes, and so easily lost his post, he turned out to be a useless guy. Kougei removed him. Wait a minute, said Barnett thoughtfully. Is this William somehow connected with Gowrie? Laston's face changes, but he continues, Minister Kougei is a key figure among those who advocate revising the treaty. William is trying to destroy their company, Laston concludes. Laston says that Minister Gowrie's name was on William's client list, and he starts checking the list. Damn you, shouts an indignant Mr. Barnett. Thunderstorms are starting everywhere. It has been raining for several days now. William and Limit stand by the window, watching the weather. When will this rain stop? Says William. At this moment, he notices that the first very small sprout has appeared in the sown field. And Sunil, with great curiosity and joy, rushes to run into the field, despite the heavy rain. She runs up and tenderly and lovingly covers this small and still weak sprout with an umbrella from the bad weather. Later, Lemmet, together with William, continues to look through the window at this miracle of nature with undisguised delight. The rains in the Iridian Valley have not stopped for several days. The rivers are starting to overflow their banks, despite all the efforts of residents to strengthen dams and dikes. Under the pressure of water, they begin to collapse. The destruction of bridge crossings begins. It's time to cut down the forest and build a road connecting Hubbard to the capital. William and company begin to work. After a short time of work, MC wipes the sweat from his face and thinks that the forest is really too dense. He understands why the kingdom hasn't been here before. He thinks that maybe it's worth trying something. William takes out his sacred staff, wrist stake, and everyone around is surprised by what's happening. Limit asks if he's okay, and Agnes jokes and wonders if he still knows the art of witchcraft, to which William replies, quite seriously, in fact, he has a contract with the staff and he thinks he can use it. Already upon arrival in the forest, William swings his staff, no matter what, hits it on the ground and says, "Wind, clear the way through the forest." The whole friendly company behind him watches what is happening with curiosity. A vortex immediately forms in the air. The whirlwind subsides and everyone, including William, silently watches the process. They are discouraged and speechless from what they see. Limit's voice urges you to ignore everything and continue working. William then reflects. He has never used magic in his life before, and crafting is not the same as throwing fireballs. It turns out that now it's just a toy, thinks MC. He wants to learn how to do real magic someday. William once again replays in his memory all the events that happened to him up to this day and thinks, since he has a chance to be reborn in this world. At this moment, the approaching clatter of hooves is heard. A rider appears, a blond man with short hair. He flies up to MC on horseback and asks her to admit if he is the skilled craftsman William. William, he confirms this. The rider excitedly explains that he is a Norman from the Knightly Order of the Kingdom of Melkis. An urgent request has been received. William is asked to restore the bridge of Iridian. Norman explains in detail that after heavy rains the river overflowed its banks. The Iridian bridge that spans it is partially destroyed and impossible to cross. Norman is invited into the hut for a talk. They sit down at the table and begin drinking tea. Norman explains in detail that this bridge is an important crossing on the highway connecting the capital with the neighboring state. There are bypass routes, of course, but they have to make a big detour through the mountains. And the road there is narrow for horse-drawn carriages, a real torture. William listens and remembers that the road there is really terrible. Norman continues to share information. The request for repairs to the Iridian bridge came personally from Minister Gowrie. He asks William to provide assistance to the kingdom. MC states that he understands everything and is leaving immediately. Rudy for help, and he is, as always, ready for the road. William says he is leaving, and Ganel and Sonal are going with him. He is ready to craft everything needed on the spot. Ganel suggests taking some materials with him. Sonal is very happy about the opportunity for a new trip. Limit indignantly tells her that she will not have to play around on the spot, but will have to do serious work, and there is no reason to have fun. After saying goodbye to everyone, the three of them set off on their trip. Limit sadly sees them off and watches Rudy fly away. Agnes comes up and says, "Madam, there's nothing you can do this time." Agnes continues that they can hardly help the victims now. She suggests that they look after the house together while William is away. Limit continues to look at the sky and watches Rudy's silhouette disappear into the distance. William and company arrive in the Iridian Valley. They are met by Juris, who says that she's expecting them and has come to inspect the affected areas in place of Minister Gowrie. William greets her. Sonal is overjoyed to see Juris greeting them. Things have taken a serious turn, Juris explains, as they all watch as the river has destroyed entire spans of the bridge. She continues, not only the bridge has been damaged, but also the nearby village. A rescue team from the capital should arrive soon. Behind him, he hears a voice. "Oh, William," he turned around. In front of him is a gray-haired, bearded man of venerable age, who declares that they have not seen each other for a long time. Mr. Bird recognizes him, William. Mr. Bird begins to tell. Minister Gowrie said that he asked William to restore this bridge and asked for additional help. And he gathered the craftsmen and immediately rushed to the place. William, after listening to Mr. Bird, declares that things will be much easier with you guys. William turns to Ganel and Sonal and explains to them that Mr. Bird is a carpenter, the head of a group of incredibly skilled craftsmen to whom William has long been indebted. Mr. Bird asks, "Tell me how you can help." They are ready to do everything. William walks up to the Bird crew and greets them. They're all happy to see each other. One of the workers says William, there was a rumor that he left the Barnet Guild, and he was already upset that they would not be able to work together anymore. Another says he is glad that they are back on the same team. The third says working with him is always full of surprises. Today is a real holiday. "I can't wait for it to start," says the next one. Surveying the aftermath of the destruction, Bird says they have cleared almost all of the debris, splinters, and rubbish. They are really quick guys. William is surprised. The boss, one of the workers who is at the bridge support, calls Mr. Bird. He calls you to come and see what he has discovered. William and Bird ask what's going on and run towards him. They run to the support. Mr. Bird is surprised. He sees traces of artificial damage, broken stones at the base of the support, and says, "It looks like someone tried to break the bridge support." What does he mean? William clarifies. Bird responds that there was a deliberate attempt to destroy the bridge. Juris listens to the information about the incident and says that this bridge is an important trade route connecting the country with its neighbor, which means that these villains do not approve of trade with neighboring countries. This is the work of opponents of the revision of the treaty, she continues. William is nearby and thinks about what kind of agreement and what opponents. He does not fully understand this information. Juris explains that the fact is that Minister Gouri is now trying to amend one agreement. She explains in detail this deal made by the former Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Kingdom Merkeys. It has a secret condition, according to which their country is obliged to buy military and other goods only from one company. Such a secret agreement. Because of this contract, the Kingdom of Merkeys is restricted in trading with other companies and countries. William hesitantly asks if they are talking about the Barnett Guild. It was Barnett, Juris replies sheepishly. William recalls the personality of Mr. Barnett and states that he knew it. He is definitely capable of such a thing. In order to continue to suck all the money out of their kingdom, he will do anything, no matter what. Juris says that it can't be. Is this bridge really they're doing? She has no evidence, but the probability is high. Bird turns to William and says that it is necessary to begin restoring the bridge immediately. Yes, of course, confirms William. Crafting skill includes enhancement, increasing the parameters of created items, repair, fixing broken items, creation, generating items from materials. William decides to use repair. However, he understands the extent of the destruction, and repairing this bridge is quite a large-scale task. The mana consumption will be enormous, and it will take a lot of time. Together, they begin restoration work. Sometime later, all participants in the restoration work see the quality of the repairs done and are completely delighted. William announces that the repairs to the Iridian Bridge are complete. To avoid future problems, they need to head upstream tomorrow and build a mudflow dam, William announces. All the construction workers involved in the repair work are perplexed as to what this is. An anti-mudflow dam? Events of the next day. Everyone moves upstream. MC explains that a mudflow dam is a structure that holds back logs and large rocks washed away by rain. It is necessary to avoid repeated floods. Along the way, Juris says that they will soon reach the headwaters. On the road, Sonal and Ganel sense a strange smell in the air. Sonal shouts, "William, it looks like someone is following us." MC asks again, "What does this mean?" They move on, and Ganel states that they seem to be being watched from afar. They've already run away. Perhaps these are the ones who try to destroy the bridge, Juris suggests. At this time, Bird, who is walking a little ahead, calls William to look at the situation. MC comes closer to the river. He sees a destroyed structure made of logs, torn ropes. He assumes that there was already some simple retaining wall in this place. William says in surprise, he couldn't even imagine that in these parts such technologies are passed down from generation to generation. He bends down and picks up the rope. William examines the rope and finds traces of a clean cut on it. He believes that someone deliberately destroyed the retaining wall, causing the dam to burst. Juris listens to all of William's conclusions and says, "What a horror. The new structure needs to be made stronger so that something like this doesn't happen again to the village at the foot of the mountain," MC believes. He asks everyone not to waste time and get to work, asks everyone to collect stones and wood for materials. At this time, footsteps are heard on the hill and a voice is heard from above. "Stop." It's a crowd of men of all ages and in all sorts of clothes, shouting at William and company. What are they doing on their territory? Juris thinks they are bandits. William asks them if they were the ones doing the surveillance. The hooded bandit shouts that William and company have broken into their territory, and the bandit with the mohawk asks if the collapse of the bridge was their fault. When asked about surveillance, the one in the hood replies that he doesn't understand what we're talking about. All the robbers shout in unison. In any case, there is no point in lording it over their territory. If life is dear, they demand that you give them everything you have. With these words, they rush to beat up William and company. At this moment, Sonal suddenly jumps up and hits the first robber, who cannot stay on his feet. The robbers are shocked by this turn of events. Mr. Bird calls his masters forward into battle. Hand-to-hand combat begins. Even Sonal and Ganel rushed actively into battle. William looks at the builders from the beer team and assesses them as very strong and powerful. He is surprised at how good they are. The hand-to-hand fighting continues. One of the bandits, namely the bald one, grabs Juris by the neck and puts a knife to her throat. She tries to call William for help. The bandit demands that she behave quietly and decently. William sees Juris being taken hostage. He screams in despair, but doesn't know what to do. At this point, Sonal and Ganel are quite far away, fighting with their opponents. Looking around, he sees that there's a battle going on in every part of the battlefield, which means that everyone else is also busy. William realizes that he can't even use his skills to fight. He thinks about what to do. At this moment, some noise is heard. A girl with a spear appears on the battlefield and enters the battle. She demands that the robber immediately release Juris and calls him a pathetic scoundrel. William watches all this with curiosity and recognizes the girl. The robber switches his attention to the fighter girl and, saying, "What do you want?" rushes into battle with her. The girl manages to dodge the attack and neutralizes the bandit with a spear thrust into his back, causing him to fall face down. At this moment, Sonal and Ganel see the fight and are happy with the outcome. Bird and the brigade are also worried. The girl rushes to Juris asking if everything is okay. Juris thanks her for freeing her. William runs towards them and shouts, "Aquino." Juris is surprised and asks how the stranger knows William. A beautiful brunette recovers from the aftermath of a fight, asks for forgiveness, and introduces herself. She is Aquino Tachibana from Moonlight. One of the masters tries to remember, "Moonlight, wait a minute. They're the strongest group of adventurers that everyone is talking about," another adds. In response, Aquino confirms that she is the daughter of their leader, Eri Tachibana. "So that's it. No wonder where such power comes from," exclaims Bird. "Simply cutie," cries Sonal. Surprised, William asks how she ended up here. Is there something wrong with Snow Peak? He means the spear. Aquino looks at the saber, twirls it in his hands, and replies that this little one is still sharp. She says that she learned from her mother that William was having difficulties, so she rushed to help. William wonders. He heard that the Averg family is poaching his clients, but have they really gotten to the Moonlight Group? Aquino says that when she set out on her journey, she first stopped by his new house. There she met Averg's daughter and asked her about everything, after which she went straight to the Iridian Bridge. And when she finally found them, she noticed that some bandits were up to no good, after which she began to watch from ambush and wait for the right moment. So that's it. William understands the situation. So the smell came from her, adds Ganel, who is nearby. Aquino is upset and simply furious at such words. She tries to explain that she ran as fast as she could, and that is why she was sweating. William calms her down, says it's not like that. Sonal just has a good nose, that's all. In the end, everything worked out well. Sonal joins the conversation. At this point, Bird asks what to do with them and points to the tied-up, lying bandits who demand that they be untied immediately. Juris appears, alarmed and flushed, and believes that she will first accompany them in a friendly atmosphere to the capital, and then ask them a couple of questions. They are all on the riverbank. The water is splashing, and William is thinking he wants to start building the dam as soon as possible, but no matter what, he needs to deal with their guests first. They have fixed the Iridian Bridge, so it is better to continue the work tomorrow. William suddenly sees Aquino. She leaned over to the tied-up robber whom she had defeated, tries to wake him up, and demands that he get up. The robber regains consciousness and cannot understand where he is. He remembers that he was just walking in a flower field with his granny. Aquino smiles, looking at the robber. In her opinion, she hit him quite lightly. She looks him in the eye and tells him that he needs to end this business before it's too late. William looks at what is happening and remembers the event of the previous days. The thief who stole the equipment from Moonlight was caught. William witnessed Eri Tachibana punishing the thief. She began to beat the thief severely. He begged for mercy, but Eri did not stop. Aquino boldly intervened in this situation, demanding that her mother stop torturing her. To this, Eri said that this scoundrel was a thief. He stole the equipment. It would not go so easily. Aquino tried to object and justify the thief with possible good reasons that he had. Eri then explained that for adventurers, equipment is a matter of life and death, and stealing it is the same as trying to kill them. But Aquino couldn't agree with that. William also wanted to intervene in the situation, but he was stopped by the Moonlight Adventurers. It was better not to approach at the moment, they said. The thief asked for forgiveness, but Eri Tachibana, she did not stop gagging him, beating him with a whip and trying to strangle him. Then Aquino rushed to the thief and asked if he was okay. Eri tried to stop Aquino. The thief continues to ask for forgiveness. He cries and tells that his son recently went blind. He heard that there was a famous healer in the capital, but he did not have enough money for treatment. And his wife died of illness, and his son had no one left except him. He begs for mercy, falls to his knees, and bows his head to the ground. Aquino sees all this and thinks. Eri does not believe the words and demands not to continue talking nonsense. She is very angry. Then Aquino approaches the cart with the property and takes out some object with which she goes to the thief. Aquino comes back and says, "Take this, one of my collectible weapons. It doesn't have a name, but it could fetch a lot of money." The leader of Moonlight tries to stop her from doing this. But Aquino turns to the leader and says that these are her personal items that she acquired for herself as a hobby, and such an act will not affect the combat capability of their group in any way. With these words, She hands the weapon over to the thief. Eri asks if Akino really believes this man, to which she replies that her heart tells her that he is not lying. Eri thought about it after hearing these words and left. Several days passed. William and Akino met alone. William asked if Eri had apologized for that incident. Akino asked again, does he mean mother? MC said that Eri received a letter of thanks quite quickly after the incident, in which it was reported that the son of that robber received treatment and regained his sight. Akino learns about this for the first time and is very happy about this fact. And also, William gives you a new weapon that he made. Akino picks it up, looks at it with admiration, and says how beautiful it is, Snow Peak. William adds that it was a personal request from Mrs. Eri. Akino is very surprised by this. MC narrates, some time ago, after that incident, Eri invited him for a talk. At that meeting, she asked to create a worthy weapon for the next leader of their party. Looking straight into his eyes, she said, William, she has hopes for him. The order will not be easy. Eri said that she wanted Akino to take over her business in Moonlight. She expressed confidence that Akino would become even stronger. She has special qualities of kindness and the ability to understand people. The Moonlight will become even stronger with her. Akino listens attentively to everything William says and cannot believe it. She expresses great gratitude for the weapon she received and undertakes to take care of it. We return to the Iridian Valley. The events take place near the restored bridge. William gathered all the builders involved in the restoration of the bridge. He decided to show them something. Akino, anticipating events, asks what he has in mind. You'll see now, William replies and gives the command, come on, Sonal. On the bank, William built a small model of the riverbed with barriers across it. Sonal starts pouring buckets of water, and it rushes down, carrying away stones, branches, and debris. William explains that he created this model to demonstrate the functioning of a mudflow dam, which holds back stones and trees but allows water and gravel to flow through the cracks. Everyone present watches with interest how this structure works. William explains how this dam fulfills its long-term purpose. Ganel randomly sees something in the distance and shouts, William, look. Everyone turns in the direction he pointed and watches as huge, organized columns of people approach them. Norman appears at the head of the column. He announces that he has arrived with reinforcements from the capital. William gives the command to begin rebuilding the village. At this time, in the Barnet Guild, the guild workers are sitting at a table playing cards. One of them, the youngest blonde, says it's boring. Yes, there are fewer orders, confirms an experienced worker, William's former partner, a bearded brunette. Will everything be okay? Asks the blonde. Mr. Barnett looks out of his office window with a very displeased expression. At the same time, he is crumpling some important document in his hand. The front door creaks, and Laston enters the office. He addresses his father. Mr. Barnett walks around his desk to sit down on a chair. Laston begins to tell, they say the Iridian Bridge has been restored. Isn't it too fast? He asks. Mr. Barnett, sitting on his chair, reports that it looks like Minister Gowrie hired this scoundrel. William, perhaps? Laston suggests. Barnett, head down, explains that the bridge has been restored. Trade with other countries is now possible, and the Kingdom of Murkies will certainly break their secret treaty. Laston spreads his arms wide and asks what his father should do. He asks Laston not to rush, and adds that he needs to think carefully. Mr. Barnett, after a short pause, perked up and with a smile declared, let the Kingdom of Donal and the Kingdom of Murkies start a war. Laston hears and cannot understand what this is for. Barnett says war creates a need for a lot of weapons. That's true. And who makes weapons for Donal? Laston thinks. And Barnett continues with a grin. Their company makes the weapons. Laston smiles and says, Father, you are as resourceful as ever. Barnett coughs in response and declares that there will be a lot of work, Laston. And in the Iridian Valley life is actively flowing. After the bridge was restored, an anti-mudflow dam was built. Norman thanks William for the work he has done. He says that the Ardane Bridge and the Weir Upstream are now complete and Minister Gowrie will surely be pleased with the speedy restoration. They look at the deserted fields and forests from the top Rudy, raise them too. William says that it remains to return people to normal life, but it looks like it will take a long time. Norman replies, the rest will be their job. Behind William, there you are, William. He turns around, and Mr. Beard is standing in front of him with a group of men. Beard introduces William to them. One of them, a short-haired blonde with an open face, greets William and introduces himself as Creed, a resident of this village. He thanks him for helping with the repairs, and he says that Mr. Bird said that William is supposedly building a village. William was taken aback by this treatment. Having collected his thoughts, he begins to tell that halfway between the capital and Hubbard, there is not even a village, but only his farmstead. The local men continue. They have a request. Will William allow them to settle in his village? They ask with hope in their eyes. MC thinks. They continue. Because of the downpour, their fields were washed away and their cattle were lost. It is not even known when they will be able to return to work in the fields. If it were possible, they would stay in their village, but they need something to eat. They heard that Mr. William was founding a village, and they thought that their experience could be useful in a new place. William was pleased to hear all this, and he says that, of course, he would be only too glad to have them. He has just recently started gardening, but he is a beginner at this business, so their help will be very useful. All residents happily accept this decision of the municipal council. William says that as soon as he returns, he will immediately start building houses for them. He hears a question from behind him. Have we forgotten? Anyone? And he turns around. Bird is standing in front of him and squinting. He says, yes, William has a cool craft, but it's hard to be alone, and that's true. Before retiring, Bird is ready to help in building a new village. Voices are heard. Bird turns around, sees the master builders approaching, and announces that they too wish to work with William for his help. MC addresses them and expresses enormous gratitude for everything. Bird promises the builders that they won't be bored. They all stand together and contemplate the results of their work in the Iridian Valley, and new things await them ahead. William reflects that his new village has new residents, and he is very happy about this circumstance. William's hut. Lemmet sits alone at the table, a cup of fresh tea in front of her. But she has absolutely no appetite and wants to cry from boredom. Agnes reassures her that William will be back soon. She looks out the window and shouts with delight. They're back. Lemmet, let's go meet them. Lemmet happily jumps out of the hut and shouts, welcome back. William announces that he has returned and, pointing to the people around him, asks to meet the new inhabitants of the village. Lemmet is in shock. This is a huge surprise for her. Aquino approaches her first, saying that she is glad to meet you and work together from today. You are from Moonlight, aren't you? Lemmet exclaims in surprise. But he quickly comes to his senses and says that he is glad to meet her. Aquino greets her in return. William introduces the new tenants to their future place of residence. He points with his hand and says that there in the distance is the royal capital. And over there, he points in another direction. Work on building new houses in the village is in full swing. Aquino and Agnes are hard at work harvesting timber for construction. And Lemmet and the maids, with jokes and fun, are busy washing dirty clothes and linens. Ganel notices that William is lost in thought while standing on the construction site. He approaches MC and asks, what happened, William? He is deep in thought and asks if Ganel remembers the situation with the bandits. While in his thoughts, the whole story is scrolling through when they were attacked by bandits, how they had to save Judas. William adds that, of course, he doesn't really know how to use a sword or magic, but he thought that at least some kind of weapon for self-defense wouldn't hurt. Since that's the case, he decided to use this magical ore and make something. At the same time, William shows a piece of ore in his hand, resembling a spearhead. He says that he got this ore from one place, and it is special, has the ability to absorb magic. Wow! Ganel exclaims in admiration after seeing this. MC says he decided to make a knife and asks to see. He begins to magically spin the piece of magic ore, and after a short moment it turns into a sharp knife. Ganel watches all the magical transformations with great surprise. William holds a ready knife in his hand and says that if the enemy does not possess magic, the weapon loses its special ability, but still remains deadly. There's a crash. William and Ganel stop talking. This is Lemmet falling backwards with the buckets in which she was carrying water. William runs to her and shouts, is she okay? Getting up, she explains that she was carrying water to water the garden, but tripped. William and Agnes help her up and calm down. William examines the path along which Lemmet carried water. He understands that the water is far away and the road leaves much to be desired. Ganel runs up and starts a conversation. They're going to start cattle, and the farm will need much more water. William agrees with this. After some thought, he decides that it is time to bring water to the village, which he announces in the presence of everyone. But everyone is interested in how to do this. MC says they will build a water wheel. Bird, who is present, joins the conversation. The water wheel is a great idea. Ganel shouts out, let's get straight to crafting. William says dreamily, they have enough wood, but not enough metal parts to make it. Therefore, he continues, it is necessary to go to the capital for shopping. Aquino immediately announces that she will be joining William. MC is very surprised by such an unexpected decision. Lemmet is shocked and hysterically shouts that he will go too. Rudy's abilities and head to the capital. And now the capital of the kingdom. They're walking along the shopping streets of the city. First of all, they go to a shop selling metal products. Then they go to a bookstore where William buys technical literature necessary for studying the design of water wheels and other mechanisms. Then they make other purchases at the city market. Evening is coming. William is surprised The shopping took much longer than he planned. But they bought a lot of things and bought seedlings for the garden. Limit joins the conversation. As they leave the market, William says he doesn't want to go home at night, and Rudy finds it hard to fly at night. He thinks it is necessary to rent a hotel room and spend the night in the city. The girls do not object. They go to the nearest hotel. Once at the hotel, William approaches the administrator and asks if there are any rooms available. He adds that there is a separate room for the ladies, but a general one will do for him. The administrator, a respectable gentleman with a thick beard, nods in understanding. Well, how could it be otherwise? Not everyone is together, adds Limit. Mr. William, a voice is heard behind me. William turns around and sees a smiling Juris standing in front of him. He asks what she is doing here. She answers. The guard reported their arrival as soon as they saw them at the entrance to the capital. She immediately went after them after receiving the information to talk about the incident on the Iridian Bridge, Juris says, looking down at the floor. William replies that he understands. MC turns to Limit and Aquino, suggests that they settle in and rest for now, while he needs to go away on business. Yes, they answer with consent. William and Juris meanwhile go to the bar. They sit at a table, and Juris holds a glass of beer in front of him. She starts a conversation. It's been a while since they drank together. You speak correctly, agrees William. But he was counting on a normal dinner, taking a sip of beer, says MC. By the way, regarding the robbers that day, Juris recalls. Juris begins to tell that as a result of the interrogation, they found out that the mercenaries received instructions from the Raven familiar. Familiar, William says meaningfully. They have a familiar, he continues. So, this is a witch. She is their leader? It's not known yet, Juris replies. The secret pact between the kingdom and the merchant guild, says Juris, was not only beneficial to Barnet. It affected not only their interests, but also those of all those who were around. Juris continues, there were probably many people who looked with hostility at the minister who was planning to revise the deal. William continues, if Barnet is behind this, he won't just show his tail. Juris says that a conference to revise the trade treaty is coming soon, and security has been stepped up in the capital, but she is worried about sabotage by opponents of the treaty. She continues, the minister is against such measures to strengthen the guard. He wants to deepen cooperation with different countries and regions in order to enrich the country, and she wants to help him. Juris starts to freak out and shouts, come on, William. Do you understand what we're talking about? Yes, I understand, he answers with a smile. But she doesn't calm down. And MC understands that Juris' bad addiction has begun to manifest itself. He doesn't want to drink? Asks a rather tipsy Juris. William knows that when she gets drunk, she starts pestering everyone. He nods and says, yes, he drinks. Juris sobs and declares that she just wants everyone to be happy. She hates those who try to rake in all the wealth for themselves. They continue to sit at the bar, and Juris demands that he continue drinking. He pretends to agree. William considers the whole thing to be alcohol harassment. From drinking so much alcohol, MC became quite drunk. In the morning, already in a bad state with a sore head, William barely drags his feet to his hotel. On the way, he remembers that Juris made him hang around with her until the morning. And in the morning, as if nothing had happened, she rushed off to work saying that she had a meeting to prepare for. It was incredible to him that after such a night, she was able to run to work. Good morning, William. This is how Limit and Aquino greeted him already at the hotel. Limit added that he looked like he had just risen from the dead. Only after hearing these words, William was able to come to his senses. This is how their shopping trip to the capital ends. They all return to the village together on Rudy. And without wasting time, they begin construction. William begins making a water wheel, which is a huge wooden structure with paddles attached to the inside and buckets on the outside for scooping up water. William explains that the first step is to build a dam in front of the water wheel to create a difference in height and increase the water pressure. Buckets attached to the wheel would scoop up water and pour it into the trough. William continues to explain. The water will flow down the gutter and collect in the catch basin. Gannel is already near the gutter. He is interested in the moment when this will happen. The sound of water running through the gutter can be heard, and Gannel exclaims with joy that they now have water for the cattle. The water continues its movement and now fills the canal built by the residents. William is very pleased. Now the fields will be able to be watered to their heart's content. MC expresses gratitude to Mr. Bird. He expresses gratitude for his help in building the dam and canal and says that thanks to him, everything worked out. Bird modestly replies, no need to thank me. Now the fields and cattle will be fine. Bird continues happily. Yes, William replies with satisfaction. Everyone around him is also very happy. There's some strange sound. Gannel says he heard something. He too, confirms William. With the words, let's go, everyone starts running towards a noise. What happened? Limit cries out in confusion. Aquino calls Limit to go along too. At this time, on the steep, wall-like bank, clinging to a twig with all her might, an unfamiliar long-haired girl hangs. She asks someone for help. William runs out onto the shore first, rushes to the cliff, and tries to find out if the girl is okay. He says he will help now. William commands Gannel to pull the vine he is watching. Gannel completes the task quickly. William says, "Excellent." He ties himself to the free end and, like a professional climber, begins to descend toward the girl, while everyone else helps him and pulls the vine. Having reached the girl, William grabs her and they are pulled to the shore. The frightened girl, sitting on her knees, explains that she slipped and fell off the bank. She expresses great gratitude for the help provided. Aquino wonders what she is doing here in a place like this. The girl asks to help them. Unknown people invaded their village. William processes the news of the village invasion. To be continued. Thanks for watching. Write your feedback in the comments. If you like the story, please like and subscribe. See you soon.